Okay, so next we have an incredible duo. Just the one-man stunner. That's all right, we can do that too. So I don't think this man really needs too much introduction, but for the tiny majority of people that don't know who this is the amazing triple diamond Bart Kotter. He's had enormous experience in this industry. You've spoken yesterday as well, and he is a phenomenal man, and he is going to talk to us today about building business basics, three-ways, DMOs, all that sort of good stuff, the nuts and bolts of the business. So please put your listening caps on. Give him a huge round of applause. The amazing Bart Kotter.
I love these stories. I love hearing all these experiences. I want to make sure you've got, is anybody taking notes here today? Yeah. Hope you're taking some good notes. I've got some really important information I want to share with you today. And my presentation is on launch or relaunch your business. Relaunching is not just, it's something that we should do on an ongoing basis. I'm going to get into that just a little bit. See if this clicker is going to work for me. There we go. So, would y'all like to know a little secret?
Yes.
The secret is how to build a 6 or 7 figure annual income. Now, with all seriousness, how many of you want to know how to do that? Okay? I want you to pay real close attention because this is really important on how to do this. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you some lessons that I learned from one of the masters in this profession, which is Eric Worre. Eric is one of the top trainers, well, in fact, he is the top trainer, educator. He networks with the top leaders in all the, pretty much all the top network marketing companies. You've seen Denny Robinson is on his stage, probably on some of the Facebook posts and stuff with the most powerful women in network marketing. I've spent some money going to some of his trainings. In fact, one was a while back. It was called the 6-Figure Summit. Now, in order to go to that training, you had to be earning 6 figures a year or more. So it was a room full of network marketing professionals. There were about 400 people in that room. Every single person was earning at least 6 or 7 figures a year. I think there was one guy that earned, I think, $83 million with his network marketing business. So some pretty successful people. Now, in that room, Eric made a comment. He said, every single one of you are here in this room because at some point in time in your business, you had a massive, all-out, massive action blitz for, let's say, 90 days. You did a 90-day burst, a 90-day blast where you put in a lot of people very quickly. A focused, concentrated effort. And every single hand went up. Yep, that is absolutely true. He says if you're earning 7 figures a year or more, you've done that multiple times. And he used several different examples in the room of people who are top earners, and it was absolutely true. So we kind of dove into that topic a little bit, and there were some really important lessons to learn that I want to share with you today. So let's just take a look at this for a second. If you're going to fly an airplane, if you're going to go, well, let's say you're going to fly from here to wherever, doesn't matter, maybe the U.S., and the airplane pilot just says, hey, all ready to go, let's take off, and he just puts the throttle on 50%. Is that going to concern you a little bit? You're just going to kind of keep going around in circles, right? What if he puts it on 75%? Is that going to get you where you want to go? What does he have to do? He has to hit full throttle to get up off the ground, right? Has anybody seen the movie Midway? Yeah, it's a great movie. And in that movie, you might remember the part where there was a pilot. He didn't have enough wind resistance, and the plane didn't have enough lift. And his jet plane was just like this one here in the picture, where it didn't make it. He crashed into the water and basically got engulfed by the boat. It was a pretty dramatic scene. Well, we don't want you to crash and burn, okay? So if your goal is just to help a few people, if it's to be a product user, that's one thing, but if your goal is to build a very successful business, then let's help you to launch it properly. And the thing is you want to hit the ground running hard, you want to set a game plan. You know what it can be? Think about it this way. You can do just about anything for 30 days, or even 90 days. So what we're going to talk about is a 30, 60, or 90-day burst. Now, let's just take a look at the two different options. There's slow and steady versus the all-out massive action thing. I've often heard people say, I'm building my business right, I'm going to build it just, slow and steady, a little bit every day. And you know what? It's so much harder to do it that way. You can have success, but it is so much harder. You really want to create some momentum with what you're doing. Now, when we look at this, let's just take a look at it. In fact, I love what Mal said. This business is maths. It's mathematics. It's a numbers game. You have to realize that some will, some won't. So what next? Some people will say they're going to take off and they're going to be your biggest superstar and will do nothing, and you'll have other people that will just surprise the heck out of you that you wouldn't think are going to take off, and they will, or they can lead you to people who will. So as we take a look at this, you want to put in 20 people as quick as possible because it's the law of averages. So here's the thing, when you got 20 people that you put in, what we're talking about is 30, 60, or 90-day blast. Recommend blocking off 90 days if you can. If you can't do 90 days, just say I'm going to do 30 days, and it's all-out massive action. But I want you to realize if you put in 20 people as quick as you can, 12 of them will do pretty much, 12 of them will do something. You're going to have 8 of them that will be active after 90 days. You're going to find, this clicker works, 4 of them will be active after a year and producing about 70% of your volume. So you need to put enough people in to find the ones that are going to run and that are going to be consistent. And the next thing is that you'll find 2 of those 20 that will be rock stars. They'll really get it. They'll have the work ethic. They'll have the drive, and you should have 1 superstar. Now, it's interesting, when I've done the math on this, and I've looked at some of the other leaders, other organizations, it pretty much spells out very closely to exactly these numbers. Some are a little better, some are a little worse, but it's pretty close to those statistics. Now, let's just take a little comparison and look at these 2 different options. Now, the first one, let's take a look at the tortoise method. And the slow and steady, what we're talking about is this would be sponsoring, let's say, 20 people over maybe 2 or 3 years. You're just dripping on a few people, you're talking to a few people here and there, you're doing it very part-time, or, what happens is you just don't have the enthusiasm, you don't have the energy to create the energy behind that. So let's say if you sponsor 10 people, if you do it this way, slower, what's going to happen is your conversion rate will be about, maybe let's just call them, and these are rough averages. Some people will have better averages, some will have less, but let's just say you'll get 2 out of 10 in terms of your presentations. Now the reason is because when you create more momentum, you're more on your game. You're more enthusiastic. People want to be on a train that's going somewhere, right? So if you do 10 presentations and you enroll 2 out of those 10, that means you've got to do 100 presentations, one-on-one, Zooms, group. You've got to have 100 people to a presentation to get the 20 that you want to sponsor. Now, if we break that down again, that means in order to do those 100 presentations, you're probably going to have to set up 150 appointments. Because some people are just going to go AWOL on you, right? They're just going to disappear. It's just what happens. People have things come up, whatever. You need to set up more appointments. Now, if you do the calculations, that means that you're probably going to have to make about 300 calls to set up the 150 appointments, to have the 100 presentations, to sponsor the 10. Now, that sounds like a lot of people. So what happens, because you've got less momentum going, you have less enrollments, you'll have more attrition, people that just get on and get off and stop and so forth, because there's less urgency and there's less passion. Now let's just do a quick comparison. Compare that model with creating an all-out massive action burst, a blitz in your business. So this is the hair method. What you want to do is truly, network marketing loves speed. In fact, if you want to get somewhere, would you prefer to take that horse and buggy, or would you prefer to be on this train? Doesn't that look a whole lot more fun and more exciting, more thrilling? We all want to be on a train that's going somewhere. We want to be involved with people who are passionate and excited and things are happening. So in this example, if you sponsor 20 people in 30 to 90 days, again, depending on what your game plan is, Eric Worre says 20 people in 30 days. Maybe that's not realistic. Maybe might take 90 days, depending on what your schedule is and what you've got going on. But let's take a look at this. So if you do 10 presentations, you're probably going to you're more likely to get 4 out of 10 instead of 2 out of 10. Anybody like to have twice as good of results? Yeah. Absolutely. So it's because you're just on your game, you're enthusiastic, you're going for it. And people will feel that energy, and plus, we'll get into some of the other reasons as well. So what happens is you're going to actually have half the number of presentations to have twice the results, to have better results. So 50 presentations, you probably need to set up 75 appointments, maybe 150 phone calls to set up those appointments. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a whole lot more success rate. You're going to have a lot better retention because you're working underneath people as well. You're looking for opportunities to talk with people. You're going to create more energy, more excitement. They're going to start making more money. The people that you're working with and talking with are going to be making some money too. And as Melissa had mentioned yesterday in our presentation, you help someone make even $1, and their chance of being in after 1 year goes up from about 20% to about 74%. Did you hear that? That is a big, big difference. So if you can help people to put a little money in their pocket, it creates things and helps things go. So you're going to have more recognition, more appreciation, more fun overall when you look at this. Now, I'd like to take a look at some of the real-life examples of people who have done some of the top leaders and see exactly what they did in their first 90 days. Now, I mentioned this as a launch or as a relaunch. So many of you have been here, and I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but I'll bet you that there's some people have gotten into ASEA, but maybe ASEA is just starting to get into you now. Right? In other words, you've been in, you've had an account, you've had a position in a compensation plan, and you maybe told a few people, but you really haven't launched your business. Can some of you relate? Yes. I'm absolutely certain that many of you can. So this could be a relaunch. This could be your launch of your business, regardless of when you signed the application or got started. Mr. Richard Lee. Where are you, Richard? There he is. I took a look at this. I don't even know if you knew. Richard put in 16 people in his first 19 days, or in his first 90 days. And he didn't quite hit the 20 mark, did he? But he's doing pretty good. Now, the one thing about Richard is he doesn't have a 90-day all-out massive action plan. He's got like a 300, do you ever take any time off, Richard? A little bit. But his plan is a little bit like Dan's. I think it's 365 days. He's an absolute machine. He works on it. He's had multiple blitz and blasts. So he put in 16 people in his first 90 days. Melissa and I put in 20 people. Okay? And in the beginning, it was, Mal sort of talked about some of the people that could maybe just fog a mirror. I think he commented he wasn't sure if some of them had teeth. It doesn't matter. When you think about it, who needs this product? Everybody needs this product. And so it was different for me when I got started with ASEA, because in a previous company I felt like, I would kind of judge people. I was like, who should I talk to? Who shouldn't I talk to? Leave that at the door. Everybody needs to know about this technology. Even I sponsored my mother, who's just turned 91, or who's 91 and a half years old now. I sponsored her. She was, 87 years old or whatever. And I just told her, I said, Mom, let's just set you up with an account and get you on the product. So some of those people, you'll find some that will run, some that will be product users, some that can lead you to other people. Don't worry about it. Just talk with everybody. But you are looking for your most switched on people, of course. The next thing, Mr. Dan Doyle. Danny sponsored 22 people in his first 90 days. Now, Dan would tell you that he was because he's such a machine, he was kind of coasting during this time. He actually decided to really get started with this later, but there was an incentive that ASEA had put out, which was a trip to Cancun, and he thought, well, yeah, I think I'd like to go on that trip. So he started talking with some people, and some of the people he put in early on was Lorraine Bart, Mal Sword established an account at that time, and a number of other people. So it was pretty amazing during that blitz. David He put in 24 people in his first 90 days. Justin and Nicole, 25. Mal Sword put in 25. Now this was Mal's, not the time he signed up, but 14 months later when he finally started, when he finally saw the light. Is that fair to say, Mal? You know, life got in the way. He saw that things were really still happening, and he just made a decision at that time. Lorraine Bart. Lorraine sponsored more people in her 90 days than Dan, than us, than Mal, than Richard Lee. Give her a hand. Wonder Woman. Out of time. And let's just take a look at the possibility here. This last lady that I want to show you, Dorothy, in Malaysia went diamond in 88 days. 88 days. This is all-out massive action. I took a look at this, unless she's put in more people since. I think she sponsored 67 or 68 people. Okay, and it's because she works and she's got a real vision. She just goes for it. So can you see the power of this all-out massive action? And we're seeing what's happening in Malaysia is taking off, and that's because they've got a real work ethic and they get the vision of network marketing. People are going to see it though when they see you and how hungry you are. So let's take a look at this. You want a strategy. You want to determine your strategy. So what you want to do, it's all about exposures. You got to open your mouth. You got to talk to people. I know that's scary sometimes, but just face your fears and do it anyway. And what's the best way to get over your fear? Do it. Just to take action. You want to create momentum. And just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate this. You've heard lots of stories about how people just shared this gift to see it, talked with them, and followed up with people, right? You want to set your starting date, all right? So here we are, March the 1st. When are you going to set your date? It's all out massive action. You're going to turn off the TV. You're going to schedule your time. You're going to absolutely go for it. You need to create a starting date for your momentum. Next thing you want to create is a master list. If you have not created a master list, you can find memory joggers all over. You can Google Eric Worre super memory jogger or whatever, and you'll see. And make it as big as you can. Open up your phone and see how many contacts you've got. Make it huge. And then you want to identify your top 10, your 10 most influential people, the ones that scare the crap out of you. You think these people are way too successful, I don't dare call them. You want to call them, but you want to use your upline to help with those people. And then call the people that are closest to you. The next thing you want to do is you want to plan your day, you want to plan your week, and you want to plan your month. So these are some of the things you want to do is set your daily, your DMOs, your daily method of operation. In other words, how many phone calls a day am I going to make? How many, set your goals, set your plan. You got to have a target. It's a great idea to have an action partner. This could be your sponsor. It could be someone in your downline. It could be cross-line. It doesn't really matter. But if you've got an accountability partner that says, hey, let's just text each other every day. How many new people have you spoken with? And just kind of a quick little heads up. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, but if you've got an accountability partner, that's going to really help you up. So remember that the fortune is absolutely in the follow-up. Please. If you're talking with people and you're not following up, you might as well be just throwing $100 bills out the window, because you're truly leaving a lot of money on the table. You're walking over your acres of diamonds when you're sticking the shovel in the ground and you're not actually looking for what's there and following up with them. The next thing you want to do is to make sure that you take time to celebrate your wins. So determine, say, hey, I'm going to do this blitz, I'm going to do 90 days. And let's say you put in 15 people or 12 people, or you might go for more. You set a goal, but the most important thing is you take action on how many people you're going to talk with and that you're going to just go for it. So real quickly, I'm just going to go through the last things. I love what Tyler Norton says. He said, product plus activity is productivity. That seems pretty simple, but productivity is nothing more than product and plus the activity is creating that productivity. And if we move product to be active, let's see, move product to be active. So it's basically just staying active, talking with people, following up with them. This leads to our results. Now, if we break down these results, Michael Jordan set a goal. He had a goal of scoring 32 points per game. And he had a really hard time hitting that goal until he finally learned to break that down into a quarterly goal. And so when he realized that if all he had to do was to make 8 points per quarter, all of a sudden it seemed much more doable. So as we've looked at this, I've talked about calling 300 people or calling 150 people, and some of you are going, oh, that sounds like a lot of people. I don't know if I could do that. Well, let's just take a look at it. It's really not that much when you actually break it down. You want to put passion into it too, by the way. But the numbers are actually on another slide coming up. But to talk with that many people is, if you want to do it in 30 days, it's 5 people a day that you're contacting. If you want to do it in 90 days, make that many calls, you're doing 1.66 people a day. Less than 2 people a day. So it's absolutely doable. So indifference makes the difference. You want to really just make sure that you're not so invested that this person has to join you or not. We're actually looking for people that are looking. You want to speak your truth. And, sometimes if we come across too desperate, that's when we lose people. You don't want to be desperate. That indifference of, hey, in fact, we heard it from Tyler Norton yesterday. Remember, he said, hey, I see us going forward with or without you. If none of you decide to join us, we're hitting these goals. We're going for it. He had that level of certainty. Could you feel it?
Yep.
And doesn't that make you want to be part of it? Instead of, we have to have you join us. No, there's no begging here. You don't need that. So remember, it is a sorting. It's not a convincing business. The other thing that you want to do is you can use these events to promote. You can use events to basically create the momentum in your business. See, it has a fast forward. It's a great way to create one incentive on top of another. Use the incentives. It creates more the fun factor. And last but not least, the last slide I've got here is when everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. Yesterday I talked about setbacks. All those, remember that picture of all the people in the Millionaires Club? And all the setbacks, all the challenges that they had? Well, for every setback, it gives you an opportunity to have a great comeback. And maybe this is your chance to have a great comeback. So just realize that adversity is there. And with a little bit of pain, you can have a whole lifetime of gain. So just make the decision and go for it. Thank you very much.
All right, I know sometimes I can be a party pooper because I've got to be the rules dude, right?